Hey, Riddle here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. For years, was suffering from all kinds of bizarre pain and fatigue. And just 2 months ago, I figured out what it was finally, and not with the help of doctors. I was tested and diagnosed with Lyme disease. If you spend or have spent any amount of time outside, hiking, hunting, gardening, and you have any kind of symptoms of joint pain, fatigue, brain fog, I lost my sense of smell, and just Google it, Lyme disease. Go and get the test. Demand it. If your doctor tries to tell you that it's probably not that, it's worth the money, it's worth the time, because the long-term effects of Lyme disease can be horrific on the body. So now to growing the perfect tomato in a bag. Yes, the one thing that kept me going through my Lyme disease, and it's keeping me going, because even though I got some kind of half-assed treatment, the joint pain and the swelling, the Lyme arthritis is still rocking my body, and the fatigue. But the gardening is so good for the soul, and it just demands love and attention, and that's keeping me going. So gardening is healing. I want to show you, this is a Chinese paste tomato. Now, there's different types of tomatoes. You have your heirloom tomatoes, which in general, a lot of the heirloom tomatoes have very thin skins, and their flavor is outstanding, and they make good eating tomatoes and salad tomatoes. And then you have paste tomatoes. You have your Amish paste, you have your Chinese paste. These tomatoes are more dense and they have less water, and they're really great for making pastes and canning. And when you venture away from just your traditional American tomatoes, like the Early Girls and the Better Boys, you're going to discover this incredible, endless variety of colors and flavors and textures, and you will become an addict, a tomato addict. At one point, I had over 60 varieties of tomatoes. You can see we've got some beautiful bloom here. Not one yellow leaf. I got my cage on it, and this grow bag came from the dollar store. Pretty amazing, right? A grow bag that size, it's a 20-gallon. The dollar store grow bags aren't holding up really well, though. So if you find these bags at the dollar store, I suggest double bagging them right off the bat. Now, something you can do that helps with drainage and will also save you a lot of money on soil is when you are before you fill your bag with the soil, you're going to take leaves or compost or cardboard from around your yard, and you're going to fill the bottom of the bag 1/3 of the way with compost. That does two things. It's going to create this like organic space that's going to hold on to moisture and help with drainage, and it's going to save you a lot of money on dirt, because that's 1/3 of the space that you don't have to fill this bag with soil. Okay, you're going to get really good quality soil. Not all soils are created equal. If you can afford an organic soil or a compost mix, definitely. You have to remember that dirt is not dirt. Dirt is vitamins. And so with good composted soil, you're getting all of the minerals and vitamins and nutrients that go into your tomato or into your vegetables, which in turn go into your body and nourish your body. That's why a lot of inorganic vegetables that you see at the store, they look perfect and they're large, but they're doing all that with nitrogen and hormones, so they don't have high nutritional quality. They just look good, which is kind of spooky, right? I actually met the woman who helped Heinz Ketchup to genetically alter their tomatoes back in the early 70s so they would have thicker skin for transportation. And this is the reason that many of your tomatoes at the grocery store have those really thick, waxy skin to them. because it's just practical. If they were heirloom and they had the thin, delicate skin, they would lose so many in the process of shipping that they would take a huge loss. So next you're gonna fill your bag up with your garden soil almost to the top, but not all the way to the top, because if you fill it all the way to the top, when you water, chances are on those dry days when the top layer of the soil has dried out, your water is going to spill over the side and you're going to lose a lot of water. Now, one thing that people don't realize, and I just was at a neighbor's house who's a newbie gardener, and that is a plant will only grow as large as its container. And so tomatoes in general really want to grow large. And they will go, they'll go 7-8 feet when they're happy, when they're well fed and consistently watered. So minimum size bag you really want, if you want a big tomato, is a 20-gallon bag. We have one here too from Amazon. They're really reasonably priced. These felt bags, they're very inexpensive and they hold up. This is the second or third year that I've reused these felt bags. I empty them out at the end of the season and dry them out and then refill them the following spring. What I did here, tomatoes, one thing tomatoes do not like, this will affect the plant, it'll affect the production of the fruit, and sometimes it will actually affect the actual tomatoes. They will crack and they'll malform. Tomatoes don't like inconsistency in moisture. So how you prevent your plants drying out while you're at work is doing a nice thick layer of mulch on the top of the bag. And when I say a thick layer of mulch, like let it overspill. Your water will go through this, so you don't have to worry about that. It just has the illusion of being filled to the top. But you want to go at least 6 to 8 inches of mulch on the top of your grow bag or your pots if you're using hard plastic pots. This will save you a lot of money and time in watering, and it also keeps the soil from drying out dramatically and shocking the plant. So it's always in this, the state of recovering and rehydrating, because that affects the tomato production. And you can avoid that with just the simple step of doing a really nice layer of some kind of mulch on the top of your pots or your bags. Now, why are my tomatoes, why do they have not one yellow leaf, and why do they look so glorious? Well, the trick is when you are feeding your tomatoes or feeding any plant in your garden, often people will put the food directly into the soil. Now, if you overfeed your tomato, you'll get a lot of tomato, but you don't get a lot of fruit, because often if you over nitrogen your vegetables, plants, flowers, it makes the foliage grow, but it will neuter flower production. So you're always trying to reach this balance of how can I maximize my nutrients without getting too high in nitrogen and stopping the production of flower and fruit. It's all about the fertilizer. The one fertilizer that I think is the best fertilizer to use for everything is any type of liquid seaweed. Now, it's not cheap, but the beautiful thing is it's organic, and a little bit goes a long way. I'll do 2 caps of this, 2 caps or 1 cap per gallon of water, or 2 caps per gallon of water when I do a foliant feeding. Now, here's another thing that people don't know. This is how you get around not poisoning your soil and not overfeeding your plants, especially your tomatoes. What you're going to do, excuse my mess, is you're going to buy an inexpensive but good quality sprayer. This is a pump sprayer. So this comes off, unscrews the top, and then you put your cap or 2 of liquid fertilizer in there, and you fill it with water, and you pump that baby up, and then you spray that on the leaves of your tomatoes. And you really only have to do this once a week. And that's how you achieve this. Now you have to understand it's not even summer yet. And look, I've got 4 feet, over 4 feet, 4.5 feet conservatively on these tomatoes. And yes, I'm late on getting them caged up because they're growing faster than I have the energy to deal with them. But look, not one yellow leaf, full of flowers. Another nice thing about when you do the cage around them, now this is just construction wire. I got a huge roll of it because I'd made my own deer fencing here in the yard because I didn't want to pay 10 grand for a fence. And now I'm just using it up. Not only did I get all that square footage to protect my yard, but now I'll have these amazing solid tomato cages that will, I'll have for decades. When you do a nice tall cage around your tomato like this, it just makes it so much easier because the tomato can grow, it can climb, it can grow, it can climb, and you have to do very little in the way of using string or manually, training it onto something. Another great thing about using the tomato cage is that if you want more tomatoes, because our pollinators are becoming more and more in peril, we have less and less bees and less of the insects that pollinate our crops and are essential to our survival. When your tomatoes in a cage like this, once a day, you come out and you just give it a good shake. You give the plant a good shake. Or some people take a rolled up newspaper and they tap the bottom of the plant. And what this does is it shakes the pollen out of the flowers and helps to pollinate the plant. And this will increase your tomato production exponentially. Just giving it a good tap or a good shake every day to help the process of pollination. Now look at this beauty. I've lost track of what kind of tomatoes I even have anymore because they're buried down in the mulch. I just lost my sandal. Oh, look at my first signs of tomatoes. That's exciting, right? Now these aren't 20 gallon bags. I think these are 10 or 15 gallon bags. But so for your smaller varieties of tomato, your patio tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, they'll do just fine in this size bag. And a friend brought me these, and I think the advantage of these plastic grow bags, and he's a professional grower. He actually has a garden center, is that they don't dry out as quickly because of the plastic. But you still want to do a nice thick layer of mulch on those. But look at all those flowers. This is when you know you're doing it right. Is that you have no yellow leaves, nice dark green in your foliage, and look at the flowers. These babies are just dying to produce. So exciting. Now I've been really lucky this year. I have yet to have any kind of insect problems. But what a lot of people don't realize is insects, they're not just not a function of an invader. Often insect and disease can be an indication that your plants are weak and they have kind of a weakened immune system. And that's more attractive to disease. And sometimes if you keep up with your nutrition, you'll have stronger and less insects. Another charm of foliar feeding is that sometimes if you can add a little calcium or a little urine and I mean little urine to your foliar feeding, that's a huge deterrent for insects and some diseases. So you're actually getting, you're getting like a lot of bang for your buck, and you're accomplishing several things in one task. This is interesting. I've never grown these before. This is a dwarf variety of tomato that's supposed to be really nice for canning. But look how this little baby's growing. This would be so good for someone's patio. Sorry guys, I'm being lazy. I know the label's in here somewhere, but these were given to me from my friend from Latvia. And I don't usually do the dwarf variety, so I'm kind of really excited to see what they're going to do and how they're going to taste. But here's another monster tomato. These monsters. And again, it's still only June, so we got a lot of grow time. No yellow leaves, no insects. Look at my squash. The squash, they really, really love the foliar feeding. It just makes them go crazy. I have a friend, she's also my realtor, and she's a newbie gardener. And it was so funny because last week she said, my garden's growing so amazing, but my squash has this stuff on the leaves and I don't know what it is. I don't know how to get rid of it. And she shot me a text with a picture of the leaf just like this. This is your classic green zucchini. And I laughed and I wrote her back and said, your plants are as healthy as they can get. And that is a sign of a mature and super healthy zucchini plant. The silvering on the leaves comes, you know, as the plant's maturing and is not only normal, but a sign of great health. So she was feeling really, really accomplished. I want to show you more tomatoes, more tomatoes. Look at these. Look at my tomatillo. This sucker's a good 3.5 feet tall already. Look at all the flowers. Tomatillos are so crazy. You really only need one, but I like to can, and I did this verde sauce that was really knockout, and so last year I didn't have enough tomatillos, and you don't see them much at the market here. So this year I planted 4 plants. There's 2 here. I planted them way too close together, but I really wanted the pollination. And I have 2 in a bag over there, but a plant fell over on top of it and kind of smashed it the other day, so I'm trying to get it back to life. But you can see this baby's going to need a tomato cage too. Okay, well, I've covered a lot of topics, a lot of suggestions about growing tomatoes. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment box below. I try to answer all intelligent, logical questions. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you enjoy my quick money saving tips, garden wisdom, art, and occasional magic, please subscribe. It helps. I want you to take care of yourselves and take care of each other, because I believe how we treat each other in the streets is our ultimate reality. Bye.